haven't.
It's not a belief.
You haven't given me a rate of attenuation.
And now you're trying to gaslight.
MPX.
You're trying to gaslight.
It's not a belief. That's where you're failing. You believe in a ball because you've got no evidence or proof or anything to back it up. We measure the ground. Oh shit, it's flat. That's why we know it's flat. Because it's measured as flat. It's observed as flat. Measured as flat. Practically used and utilised as flat. Flown across as flat. Sailed across as flat. Navigated as flat. Why would I believe it's a ball?
What was 20 miles away that you saw, and what was your approximate viewer height? What did you see?
I'm 6 foot tall. I saw a really tall mountain that seemed very far away. And so I just completely guessed and gave you a number of 20 miles because it wasn't relevant to the other line of conversation that we were going down, but you wanted an answer, so I gave it to you.
Just made shit up.
Correct. I made shit up.
That checks out.
One particular line that doesn't matter to the center point of the conversation.
All you did was make shit up.
I gave you an arbitrary answer to the best of my ability, but it ultimately boiled down to me making that shit up.
Well, how many feet of curving drop over distance do you think the globe requires across 20 miles?
Why are we not answering the attenuation question about light through a medium?
Yeah, this is a gaslight that you've already attempted. It didn't work the other like 3 times. Because you're claiming we didn't answer your question when we did thoroughly. We told you what will attenuate. We told you what will attenuate it. No, don't do your gaslight again. Shut the fuck up. We told you what will attenuate it. Shut the fuck up, dude. I'm not listening. Hey, if you're going to try your gaslight again, the rate. Now you're going to move the goalpost. Now we're supposed to give you the rate. Okay. Well, we told you a visibility range that you get on a weather report. That will tell you something. We gave you the mechanism, which is the stuff in the air that you're not going to be able to see through at a large distance, dude. You don't need anything else. Shut up. Move on to your next
answer to the maximum distance.
Well, that'll be the visibility.
We understand when it's very foggy.
Visibility. Shut up, dude. Maximum distance is the visibility. Yeah, fog, that's just water. That's in the air anyway. So if it's not necessarily foggy per se, there's still going to be water in the air, and you're still going to have a distance at which the light will attenuate that you will not be able to see through. This is a stupid, pointless conversation at this point because you're refusing to tap out. Tap out. Move to your next scope. Move next scope. Next scope.
Material in the air besides water.
All right, I'm going to mute you. I'm going to mute you so you can reset. I'm going to mute you so you can reset. And we're going to go to your next cope now. We're done with this one.
Give him 10 seconds.
Give him a minute. Yeah. Just let him reboot. We already did this. The YouTube audience doesn't need to hear it 50 times in a row just because you can't give up.
Is that enough time for a hard reset?
I think so.
All right.
I didn't know we were on YouTube. Hi, YouTube.
All right, come back with your new cope now.
Okay. What is my new cope? New cope is I don't understand how refraction is working in this entire worldview.
It's not working at all in the globe because that's in a vacuum. Go ahead, Uriel. Tell us how you know what you know.
That's what I was going to ask Matrix, right? Because he said that whatever the other guy had was beliefs, and I assume that what he has, he considers not to be a belief. And I was going to challenge him on that. Right? I don't think, like, if you apply the same logic to your own thoughts, I don't think he can get out of the out of that trap. Everything we believe is a belief by definition.
So just it's all like anything you know, you're going to categorize under belief. So everything is belief.
Exactly. So there's no point in trying to smack down an idea for simply being based on a belief like math, right, or like physics.
Tooth fairies, leprechauns, elves, Santa Claus. Those are all hand in hand with like, the empirical demonstrated world before us?
Absolutely. And
Okay, you just said it yourself. All right. You can't know the
empiricism
difference
itself.
between reality and the tooth fairy. Okay.
That's not what I said. I was going to say that empiricism.
That's what I asked you, and you said absolutely.
Okay, if that's what you want to believe, sure.
That's what I asked you to. That's what you said.
No, that's not what I said, but okay.
You said
Have a
absolutely.
conversation in good faith, then we don't have to have it.
Yeah, you said
When you get asked
absolutely.
a question and you reply, should he take your answer at face value that that's what you mean? Or should he just think you mean something else?
Well, even if I said something else, right? If I want to correct it, I think that should be on the table, right? It's not like, well, you said it, okay, that's it. Well, perhaps I was wrong. Perhaps you misunderstood me, right? There is quite.
Perhaps you're not on Discord right now. Perhaps I'm thinking your imagination. Perhaps you're talking to yourself.
Yeah, maybe.
Ugh. You don't believe anything you're saying. You can play mental masturbation mind games that you could be a brain in a jar, but you don't actually believe that.
Well, actually, that's what I was attacking, the sophist point of view that was brought up by the other guy.
Do you think we can know anything?
With absolute certainty, no.
Can we know that the law of identity is true?
Can you explain it, please?
The law of identity, it's one of the laws of logic. Can we know that it's true? Is it objectively true?
Can you explain it?
The laws of logic? I have to explain the laws of logic? The law of identity, the law of non-contradiction, the law of excluded middle, the laws of logic.
Yeah, that's...
Without which we couldn't have this conversation, brother. We couldn't even have a conversation if they weren't true.
What was true? Because like nothing of what you said is something I can agree or disagree with.
Okay. The law of identity, i.e., a cat is a cat, a dog is a dog. You are you, I am I.
That's hardly a law, right?
It's a law of logic.
It's something that is not.
Yeah, that would be the law of non-contradiction. So there's three laws of logic. One is the law of identity, one is the law of non-contradiction, and one is the law of excluded middle. You can't even argue against it without using those laws to argue against it. So you'd be in a performative contradiction to even argue that they don't exist. They're all objectively true. So your whole idea just fell apart.
See, I have a problem with the idea that the law of identity, as you described it, is actually a law. Like, who the fuck would need a law?
And every word you just said could possibly mean some other... Brother, that means every word you just said could actually mean something else. None of your words would have an identity.
Why are you not skeptical about it if you're skeptical about so many other things that are held with veracity?
What?
What reason do you have to not be skeptical of that? You seem to be skeptical of many other things that are commonly held beliefs.
We're not talking about beliefs. We're talking about objective truths.
Okay.
The law of identity is objectively true. You can't even, like I said, you can't even argue against it because you would need to use it to argue against it. To even have a conversation, to even be talking to me.
Okay, so if by the law of identity you mean that A equal A, then I agree.
Okay. That's objectively true. Yes, that's what I mean. A equals A.
Right.
In the law of non-contradiction, something can't be off and on at the same time.
You mean A cannot be unequal to A?
Exactly.
Oh, it's
how we're having a conversation. Yeah, so that's objectively true. So there are objective truths. Even in your jar, dude.
Yeah, I've been struggling with that. Because...
the brain in the jar thing?
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure. Well, with the idea that.
Well, then what are you trying to convince us of? If you're a brain in a jar, that would mean you're talking to yourself right now. You know that, right? Then we're just figments of your imagination.
Yeah, but now we're in the realm
Absolutely.
of
That's not the point. I was trying. Yeah, MPX. What did you say?
So now we're in the realm of epistemic norms as to why not to believe that. But those are all just beliefs, or like just not even beliefs. They're just attitudes.
Attitudes. Attitude's an emotional state, brother.
Well, kind of that's going to depend on your thoughts on epistemics, but if you're a motivist in any capacity, then yeah, it's an emotional state.
Well, it's pretty much how they're defined. They're emotional states of human beings towards things. But this isn't a matter of attitude. We're talking about how you can, are there objective truths? We've established that there are, because otherwise we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Depends on what you mean by objective.
So I had a little thought about what you said. I had a little bit of time.
Do you have another objective truth?
No, I was going to comment on your idea that because A equal A, even in your little jar, then there are objective truths. I would say that is subjective because it's not something that is outside of the jar. You are still inside of the jar, right? So
it's true outside the jar too. It's true everywhere.
You can't possibly know that.
Yeah, I do. Because Aristotle's argument that to argue against it, you would need to use it.
But you're doing that from inside what you expect the confines to be, and those.
You think contradictions can be true?
Particular rules. But
you think contradiction
perception against anything else?
What? Contradictions can't be true, and to argue against it, I would need to perform a contradiction.
The whole nature of truth may not even be a coherent concept.
Well, what does that even mean?
The whole concept of epistemic nihilism exists, and you can't prove things one way or the other with regards to these metaphysical stances.
Okay,
exiting the realm of proof entirely.
But even if we consider that there can be objective,
oddly enough, you used the things that I said are objectively true to argue against that. Oddly enough,
what?
We can't communicate without it. Every word you said would mean something else. It would just be a random string of words, sounds coming out of your vocal cords.
You can put together that can convey meaning in some capacity. Don't rely on this argument in any way, shape, or form. You could have an entirely different construct, a different ontology.
Go ahead. Go for it. Try to communicate using it. Try and communicate using where the law of identity isn't true. Go for it.
But the law of identity isn't true?
Yeah, that the law of identity isn't true.
Here, boom. All laws of logic are simply constructs. They're language games.
Well, that means everything you just said doesn't mean anything, dude.
Everything I just said only vaguely hints and gestures at these ephemeral mental states.
What do any of those words mean? They have no identity.
You have a bunch of similar ephemeral mental states that when they hear or have the phenomena of sound occur in your mind, it gives rise to further phenomenal states that cause you to feel like meaning's been conveyed. But there's no underlying.
I don't understand what you're talking about. You're just speaking. I just hear gaga.
Okay. The simple version is
your words mean
there's
anything.
No such thing as logic. It's all vibes, bro.
It's all vibes, bro.
Literally, yes. That's the simple version.
Well, I don't know what vibes means because it has no identity. So.
I mean, that's fine, but doesn't make it.
I don't know what that's fine means. It has no identity.
Your system.
Your system has no identity. Everything you're saying has no identity. It doesn't mean anything.
That just makes it really unsatisfactory to you. That makes it give you bad feelings.
I don't know what unsatisfactory means. It has no identity.
Okay, that's
your
problem.
No, it's your problem because you're the one that says the identity isn't objectively true.
All that matters is I feel like I'm conveying meaning and I have practical utility.
There is no you
capacity when I try to convey meaning to others, but there doesn't have to be like an objective underlying meaning for that to like happen.
No, none of your words have an identity. Do you understand what an identity means?
Why does that matter?
Oh, because that means when you said you, it can mean cat, dog, pineapple, raisin, jumping jack, eating pasta, shoveling dirt.
No.
Like, it could mean anything.
It's just
it doesn't have an identity.
It's just a expression. Like, it doesn't have to have a.
It's just a random sound.
There's no clear boundaries on any of these terms.
That's irrelevant because they have no identity.
There's no such thing as any sort of logical construct without any sort of like normative bound.
No such thing as anything according to you.
Which doesn't mean you're literally arguing using the law of identity.
I'm not.
You are lost. You have to be, otherwise your words don't mean nothing, and you're just grunting.
Because you're asserting your worldview in order to make sense of the situation.
So you're purposely grunting at it.
Begging the question, sir. You're begging the question.
You're spiraling.
There is a much bigger issue here. We have not escaped the jar. Even if we accept that the law of identity is real within the jar, we are still inside the jar. So I would like you to tell us how to escape the jar.
What jar? None of your words mean anything, dude. Yeah, none of your words mean anything, though. You're not even at stage 1.
So you're
just a smear. You're a smear of everything.
I can understand both worldviews. And I understand your worldview, and I feel like you have a problem understanding mine, but I feel like I fully understand mine.
Your worldview is unsustainable because you're trying to communicate it, and you're in a performative contradiction, and because of all non-contradiction...
You're injecting other elements of your belief system into this worldview that aren't coherent within it.
I don't think so.
I guarantee you are.
Okay. And I'm going to ask you to demonstrate it, and then you're going to use the law of identity to say words that mean things to demonstrate it.
Well, that would be that's exactly what you're injecting. There has to be this fundamental...
No, it's what you're going to use a coherent worldview to argue against that. Yeah, you're going to use a coherent worldview to argue that a coherent worldview doesn't exist. Try to borrow someone else's worldview. And then act like it doesn't exist.
How in any way, shape, or form am I demonstrating that I am borrowing from your worldview?
You're talking.
If I give an explanation as to how...
There's no such thing as an explanation in your worldview. It doesn't have an identity.
It doesn't need an identity.
Oh, then what does explanation mean?
What does anything mean? If you look at any concept, you can devolve it and smear it far enough that it bleeds in almost any other potential concept that you can construct.
Really?
Are you aware of the notion of constructivism?
What does that even mean in your worldview? Oh, you're going to use my worldview to tell me what constructivism means. So you're going to use my worldview to explain what constructivism means.
I am not using any particular worldview. It's valid.
You have to be. You have to be because dude, sure. Regardless of how much you thrash about, you're going to use the law of identity to argue against it, and there's no way out. Because communication is impossible without it.
Let's pretend I have some notion of paraconsistence.
What does any of that mean?
Sorry, I think
what does any of that mean, dude? What are these words you're using? I just hear grunts and groans.
Okay.
None of your words mean anything, dude. To you.
Yeah. That was a big word. Could you say it again for us?
Paraconsistence.
What does that even mean?
That was the logical system in which contradictions can be...
Is that its identity?
Can be true.
Is that its identity?
Both contradictory statements in certain forms can...
Is that its identity? When he asked you what's it mean, is that its identity when you gave the meaning?
I backed off of that one because that doesn't bounce on identity.
Yeah, because you fell into the trap, bro. Yeah, you fell into the trap.
I didn't.
Yeah, you did. As soon as you started defining it, you fell into the trap. You identified it. You gave an identity to it.
We're going in circles again.
No, we're not. You're bashing your head against the wall.
Okay. So if
we're going to get back into flat Earth because you can't maintain your worldview. So this guy thinks that observing something to be a thing is a belief. So that's obviously not true because there's people in permanent vegetative states that can respond to external stimuli when they have no brain function. Okay?
What does that have to do with anything?
Okay. That means it doesn't require logic or thought or subjective anything because your brain doesn't work.
Yeah,
you can still perceive
if I push a
stuff
rock down a hill, it's going to roll.
Okay. So you can still perceive stuff sensorily, independent of the mind.
I can perceive things sensorily independent of the mind. I
Yes.
don't know what it means to perceive without mind. What is a
you don't
perception?
know about anything.
Because
you're not in a permanent. I assume you're not in a permanent vegetative state.
I am not.
Okay.
I'm
So
not a pea zombie.
people in a permanent vegetative state can respond to external stimuli, right? But they have no mind, but they're still responding.
Okay, I have two questions here. What do you consider a response? And two, how do you know they have no mind?
Well, because we hook up electrodes to them and we see no activity.
Okay.
They're clinically brain dead.
We're talking about, a fully clinically brain dead person. Okay, then
yes.
We can ignore
I'll give you an example. Terry Shalvo.
What is a response?
Response is they'll smile, they'll blink their eyes rapidly, their skin temperature will change, you'll have surface, what do they call it? They can measure the electrical resistance of the skin. Mm-hmm. So they'll have physiological responses independent of the brain based upon external stimuli.
Okay, if I reduce all that down to mechanistic process from like lower order neurons firing, and there's no meaningful mind being deployed. What is?
It's no reflex. It's not reflexive. It's not part of the parasympathetic nervous system.
It doesn't. We're not talking about the parasympathetic nervous system. We're just talking response, like mechanistic response outside of like the notion of mind. What? Yeah. I don't understand what perception is going to be. But
because how we interact with the world is through perception, right? Okay, because this guy, first of all, I was talking to this guy who thinks that, hey, dude, that there's some equivalence to the globe and flat Earth. When we observe a flat Earth, and I can just remember the Earth being flat, whereas the globe doesn't come from memory, it comes from imagination. No one remembers the Earth being a globe. It's not from memory.
Well, I just have a series of perceptions, and I have reasons to believe or disbelieve those perceptions.
You can't even say you have anything, dude.
Why not?
Because you gave that up when you abandoned the law of identity.
Okay, we're talking. This is just saying that it's not an absolute necessity that you have the law of identity. That was a whole different tangent.
Yeah, it is.
Let's say we take the law of identity. Then we're back in a more agreeable space that's less philosophically masturbatory. Okay, we have law of identity. Sure. Now what?
Great. Okay, so we can identify that when we look at the Earth, it looks flat. It has that identity.
It doesn't have that identity. We have some projection onto it. We don't know its identity. We have no access to its ontology. What it truly is. We only have the phenomenal.
So an object is a phenomenon now.
Nope. An object is an object. That's the noumenal. If we're making a Kantian divide.
So looking is phenomenal.
Looking at it is phenomenal, yes.
Okay. So then I perceived, I guess, according to you, I perceived the phenomenon of flatness.
Yep.
So flatness is a phenomenon. What causes flatness?
It doesn't grant me access to the...
What causes flatness?
What causes flatness?
Yeah. What's the cause?
Well, I put together a collection of my phenomena to pose a theory about the noumenal.
Okay.
I say that the noumenal supervenes on my phenomena to have a causal relation to my phenomena and my perceptions.
Lack of
causal
curvature.
relation is going to be.
You're just really talking word salad, dude.
Causal
you know
relation is going to be a geometric structure, an extrusion through space of a particular form.
Yeah, how about we sum it down easy? Indio.
Extrusion through space.
I'll answer what is flatness. The lack of curvature.
That doesn't tell me anything about its ontology.
It's flat. That's its ontology.
Okay, we're just gonna breeze on past and handle the whole notion of spatiality and existence around me and other objects. That's fine.
Well, we can just compare that the surface of the Earth to something that we do know, right? And we just compare the two, and if they're in parallel or they're equal in some way, then we can know that since they're the same, they can't be the thing that they're not the same of. Such as if we take something that's straight and we run it along the surface of the Earth, and then they stay in parallel, then we know that they are equal, right? They're equidistant from each other, and they run in parallel. And
yeah, that'd be a reason for believing that. Yes,
that means they're not. Well, we can just measure it, right, directly. We don't have to look at it. We can just take a tape measure.
Well, now we're going to do the whole thing we just did with the other guy for hours. Like, measurement is going to be contingent on a whole system of belief.
So, okay, that like tape measures don't fucking like.
I don't.
You
I don't
measure
have a
at one
sufficiently long
place.
tape measure to examine whether
We don't need to. We don't need a sufficient long tape measure.
Well, I'd have reasons to doubt the edges of my perception. Would I not?
Okay. We talk about something is in parallel.
Yep.
Right? So I can take something straight and I can say it's 40 kilometers long. And I measure it 2 meters high at one end and go all the way to the other end and measure it 2 meters high. That means it's parallel. That means the Earth is not curving. That means the Earth is not curving away from it.
As long as I have a system of belief that verifies that those two things are going to be truly parallel over that distance, there's no other confounding factors.
We're measuring it so that we don't have to believe anything. We're measuring it.
The measurement is contingent on belief.
No, because we're using the law of identity.
So if I took a very bendy tape measure and extended it 40 miles and said,
we're measuring the height, dude. We're measuring the height. Beginning. We're measuring the height. That's a red herring straw man bullshit, dude. It's not how the measurement's done.
I know it's an intentionally obtuse example, but it's just a demonstration.
Because that's not what we're doing. Because you can't actually address what we're doing.
I'm trying to demonstrate the relation to the system of belief. So if I believe my tape measure is super duper straight, and then I extend it 40 kilometers, oh look, it sags, but I see that parallelness the whole way across. I'll have said that those two things are straight. They are both parallel.
Yeah, it's nothing like what we're doing. It's nothing like what we're talking about or what we're doing.
I know it's an intentionally exaggerated example to demonstrate a point.
No, it's a straw man.
I'm not attacking the actual flat Earth belief right now. I'm attacking the approach. We're saying we just measure. But measurement is tied to a system of belief. And if you can't get past that point, I don't know how to continue the conversation.
Measurement is just comparing.
Hold on a minute, Indio, hold on. We've already established what measurement was earlier. Remember MPX? No, I agreed with it. I let you have your tape measure that was 10 meters long. You agreed with that. And if you say anything otherwise, you're nothing but a lying sack of shit.
Well, we already know that.
That was already agreed upon.
Indio seems to know a little bit more about philosophy than you do, so it's more interesting.
Okay, dude. The only thing you know about philosophy is the vocabulary and a bunch of fucking word salad.
Okay? Fair.
Okay, so really simply, measurement is to compare two things, one against the other, and take the ratio of one versus the other. You can do measurements without units. It's not even a problem. The Greeks did it for a long time. They didn't even have units. They just compared one thing to another.
Okay. If I was to tell you
one thing to another.
Okay. If I was to tell you that there's a foundational crisis in physics where the notion of measurement can't be truly defined, what would your response be?
There's no crisis. That's just horseshit, dude.
How is it horseshit?
the measurement problem? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
In quantum mechanics?
Yes.
There's no problem.
Why not?
Because there's assumptions within it. A whole bunch of them.
Assumptions within the measurement problem or assumptions within the...
There's no ontology on what, since you want to bring up ontology, there's no ontology but what happens between the emitter and the screen. They don't know what it's doing, right? So they claim that their lack of knowledge is a measurement problem. Now we could get into John Bell and Bell's inequalities, and we could talk about that if you want.
Yeah, but if we don't know what it is, doesn't that seem to be a problem?
No, it's not. It's not a problem. It's a measurement. It's a problem in understanding. It's a problem in understanding because we are presupposing a bunch of shit, such as a particle goes from the emitter to the screen. Well, that's an assumption. We don't know because if we try to measure it anywhere in between the emitter and the screen, right? What happens? That thing becomes the new screen. And the moment you make the measurement, the equation, the quote unquote wave function collapses. But that just means that. But that just means that the probabilities, the uncertainties become certain. And you've made a measurement,
the universe
or you didn't.
Is constructed of such particles. It seems to really put a problem. I
don't think you understand quantum physics to a sufficient degree to talk about it.
I got a shout out.
We watch some Discovery Channel bullshit.
I got a shout out. Says who? Dude sounds like an asshole Kermit the Frog. That is the best insult I've ever gotten. Thank you, sir. That's amazing. Oh shit. Okay.
So you should go read John Bell's Against Measurement. And the problem isn't the measurement problem. There's no problem in the measurement. The problem is there is no mathematical formalism to take into account the measurement device, its state. So you can only model the state of the particle, but you can't model the state of the particle and the measurement device simultaneously because the measurement device is a macroscopic device and the quantum particle is quantum. So it's not that there's a measurement problem. The problem is we just don't have the mathematical formalism to predict what the state of the measurement device is in a quantum mechanical form.
Sure. But that
we've just ignored the measurement device and pretend it doesn't exist because we can't in any way model or quantify it.
To me, that poses a major epistemic problem if we can't have any clear model of how to engage with this notion of measurement.
Do you think we're mathematical fucking super geniuses or something, bro? You really do realize there's some things...
as like a human species, not you and I.
Okay, do you think like in 1,000 years the mathematics we possess will be far superior to the ones we have now?
Yeah, potentially.
Yeah, okay. So they will be, okay? And just because we don't have the tools now doesn't mean we won't have the tools in the future, okay? They're just doing this philosophical nonsense because they can't do it. And instead of admitting, our model's incomplete because we can't actually take into account the fucking measurement device, it's spooky fucking action at a distance or something.
Sure. I mean, maybe we figure this out at some point in time. But
the thing is, it's an unsolvable problem because when you're measuring,
I'm agreeing with you. I'd say it might actually be unsolvable. I'm not sure we can actually get there, but I'm just agreeing for the sake of moving the conversation forward. Like
it's unsolvable. It's unsolvable unless you can do like a fucking quadrillion dimensional fucking matrix.
Sure. Magic happens. We do some math and we figure out how to solve the problem. But in this, like
the problem isn't knowing the math. The problem is the ability to compute it.
Right now,
it's a computational problem.
We have two problems facing us. And one, if we take this problem at face value, right the second, we seem to have this fundamental issue with the nature of measurement. And two, we still have a whole philosophical grounding issue with how these measurements are meaningful in the first place to us.
Well, I'm not going to get upset. I don't think you know enough about quantum mechanics. That's a whole other thing. Quantum mechanics is just the mathematical formulas and make a prediction about the result of a measurement. That's it. But it's incomplete because we can't. It's incomplete because the precision at which we can make the prediction follows a probabilistic outcome because we don't know what the fucking measurement device is doing.
Yeah, well, it appears to. We have no sense of whether or not there's truly hidden variables or not.
All I can suggest to you is read John Bell, who's.
Yeah, I was going to say Bell's theorem leans against that, but that's again that's
read what he wrote at near the end of his life. It's called Against Measurement. Just read what he wrote. It's not long. It's publicly available. Go on Google Scholar, type in Against Measurement, John Bell. It'll come up. Just read what he wrote.
The only reason I brought any of this up is to just highlight the fact that there's reasons to doubt the nature of measurement. Smart people disagree about it.
Can I ask you a question?
You whistling past the graveyard, buddy.
Ask a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, so has the Earth ever been directly measured?
How's the what being measured?
The Earth, the surface of Earth.
He doesn't believe in measurement or something.
Well, I do believe in measurement, and I believe in particular measurements. Those measurements are going to be bound in a whole bunch of different data, or datums, however you want to phrase that. And given those datums, I can then make comparisons, and then declare measurements.
A measurement is a comparison. That's what it is.
Yes. But I have to have a whole bundle of beliefs for that comparison to be meaningful.
Okay. So when we compare two things and they're equal, well, you don't believe in the law of identity. Never mind.
We asserted that. We said we can adopt that for now, or probably the rest of this conversation.
So what's all the issue here, man?
This is called the frustrator troll, where no matter what you say, he's just going to try to frustrate what you say. So we got like Gober archetypes. Yeah. This is the sea lion / frustrator troll. So he's like straddling two archetypes.
So that's why he keeps reverting back to he's got these bunch of beliefs. So every time you cycle through that, you get the sophistry about belief systems and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he just wants to hear frustrated. I go, you can't prove the Earth. We can't prove the globe, but you can't prove the Earth is flat either. Nah. It's fucking childish bullshit, dude.
Just mutually assured destruction.
Yep. And it's the fucking coward's way out, quite honestly.
Why would it be the coward's way out?
They used to call it doesn't know whether he's coming or going.
And I want to get past that level of that standard for skepticism to adopt a belief.
We don't want you to believe.
You were never the
bit where you keep
failing regarding the globe. Why?
She's never exactly, bro. Exactly.
I'm also interested as to why you would believe if you adopt this level of skepticism for other beliefs, but then suddenly aren't willing to do all of that work to adopt the...
What level of skepticism?
There's a level of skepticism about...
What are we skeptical of?
Are many...
Like basically everything.
Hold on. Let him answer. What are you skeptical of?
Claims by a number of different people that you've
give one
through osmosis.
Give one. Give one.
Give one?
Yeah, give one.
You have reason to
give the belief that we're skeptical of.
Of what you're skeptical of? That the Earth is round.
Okay.
That there's satellites.
Okay. Now, the Earth being round, that claim, do we have any reason to believe it based upon experience?
I would say
experience.
Yeah, so there's a nuance here. So yes and no. In like an immediate direct sense, I don't think you're going to experience like curvature in an explicit sense because the scale
About motion.
would be present would be not sufficient. Like you're not going to like immediately feel that.
How do you know? Okay, what is the scale? What is the scale? No, what is the scale? What is the scale? You're claiming that, like, because the Earth's too big, we can't experience its scale.
If you're tentatively
what is the scale? What scale will we experience it at?
Whatever the radius of the curvature of the Earth is. So
you have no idea what you're talking about, do you?
We're just tentatively adopting this.
How much drop is supposed to be in 10 miles due to curvature?
Again, who cares? We're like investigating that.
Because we should experience it. That's what we're telling you, you dumb fuck.
Yeah, you should experience it.
Yeah, we should, according to the globe. Yeah, we should, easily.
Yeah, that would be an indirect form of experience.
What are you talking about?
You're not experiencing the curvature itself. You're experiencing a second-order phenomena that would be a result of the curvature. And so you doubt the curvature based on the findings of your second-order experience relative to that curvature.
How do you directly experience curvature?
First order would be like, I know that there is light because I am seeing. Like,
what would be a first order experience of curvature, dude? Laying on top of it and feeling the curvature on your stomach?
Yes.
You're a retard. Dude,
yeah.
You look at him for that retardation.
That would be a first order experience. The second order would be, these aren't formal terms, but the second, in my little system here, the second order is going to be like some secondary experience, like a drop over time. Something you believe is straight, going over that distance and not shooting off into space. Or not space.
Shouldn't we be able to just measure that directly?
Say what?
Shouldn't we be able to measure that directly?
Potentially. But it's going to be tied to a bundle of beliefs about your measurement system.
I fucking told you he'd go back to it.
I have
Such
to.
as what?
This is of course.
Yeah, but we keep asking you such as what. But I've asked you at least half a dozen times such as what, and you won't say one thing that composes, one belief that composes a measurement system.
One belief that composes a measurement system. It's going to be dependent on any given measurement system. So I don't know what the particular
such as. But what is the belief that composes a measurement system?
There's going to be a bundle of beliefs.
Give one of them.
I don't know, ruler, like persistence of nature, like the uniformity of nature. things stay consistent over time. That's one belief. You're not a brain in a vat. That's another belief. These are ones that feel really commonly accepted. Now we can also go into specific beliefs.
Fucking deranged pseudo-intellectual subreddit let you out for the day.
Thank you. This is the peak of pseudo-intellectualism. Way to go, MPX.
Thank you. Anyways, there are many other beliefs that you can hold about the particulars of your methodology that you want to establish for your measurement system. So if you're using some
how do you measure for your shoe size?
You're talking philosophical mumbo jumbo about the consistency of nature and all that shit. We're talking about the measurement itself.
You asked for a belief. That was one of them. I've met your
belief that reality is real.
Yeah, that's another great one. You're not a brain in a vat.
What does that got to do with measuring?
This is part of the bundle of beliefs that you're going to have to.
What does that got to do with measuring?
In order for your measurement to be meaningful.
What does that got to do with measuring? I need the association. What does that got to do with measuring?
Just censored.
I already told you. You just asked for a particular a single belief. That was one of them.
You said it's a belief required a measurement, and I want to know why measurement requires that.
Measurement requires beliefs. So
no, you keep repeating yourself. I know you keep saying that. Okay. And I'm asking you what beliefs, and then you mentioned a couple, and I said, how are they related to measurement? And then you say, measurement requires beliefs. Yeah. You're just circling the drain.
I was to use a ruler to measure something. If I have gradations on that ruler that are each, say, 1 inch, and I measure some rock to see it's 6 inches long, I held the beliefs that ruler's persistent over time. It hasn't expanded in some meaningful way relative to its environment. Each of the gradations properly
we don't care about persistence over time. We only care about that moment.
Well, it's that moment relative to whatever standard you ascribe to, and there's
MPX. Say you're building an extension.
So in that moment, if the inch of the ruler is not a true inch for the datum that you hold, then you're measuring improperly. Your methodology has a flaw.
We don't need to use. I already told you we don't even need to use units. Yeah, units are not required. We don't need to have any little gradations on the ruler. Any. Not even one.
That's fine. We can do a measure of like curvature or flatness by laying on the thing and feeling how that is perceived by us. Like what's the sensation I get on my tummy or back?
Go swim like 10 miles out and lay on the water, see how flat it is.
Okay. But
why are you doing this to yourself, man?
Is it too ask to define belief? Can you define that term?
The doxastic attitude.
Yeah, great. What does that mean?
I can link you a dictionary definition if you like.
Holy shit, you don't even know what it means.
Okay. It's a feeling that you have.
You don't even know what the word belief means, and you're using it this whole time.
We're straight into metaphysics. So there's like 1,000 different ways to define this.
So why are you surprised he doesn't believe in the law of identity? Why would belief have any identity?
Fair enough.
For me, it's Fifi's. A belief is going to be, it doesn't cause cognitive dissonance when I hear you string these particular ideas together.
So this is all stacked on Fifi's.
In my worldview, but we already went way past that. We're now adopting law of identity for purpose of the conversation. We are in the worldview that you're saying that you believe in. We're doing an internal critique.
You're not. You're not.
Well, we're struggling to get there because we keep faffing about at the edges, but...
No. Someone put an electrode in your fucking brain and then cross the wires on a car battery and just like random shit is coming out of your mouth.
I hope not, but maybe. It is getting late.
Yeah, so you're a malfunctioning unit. You need to return to the factory.
It's not that late.
It's almost 1 a.m. here. I woke up at like 5.
Yeah, that's not late.
Okay. Well, relative to my system of measurement.
Have your warm milk.
Fair.
People like you, MPX, if you're serious with all this nonsense, right? Do you just stand still your entire life? Because I don't understand how you make any move, make an action.
Why would I?
Because you seem to want to reconcile everything down to whatever would be the most minuscule instance of it or whatnot.
The claims
like you don't operate like this day to day out in the world. Like you don't speak to your family like this.
I feel like I can act in the world based on tentative beliefs about things, and I do all the time, and it's not a problem.
No, you don't.
When I turn my key in my car, I have reason to believe it's going to start, even though I haven't verified the entire function.
Do you look both ways before you cross the street?
Usually.
Okay. Keep it up.
Yeah, you should do a lot, please.
Yeah, that's what happens when you spend too much time on Reddit.
I don't really.
Yeah, you don't actually believe a goddamn word you're saying. You don't operate in a world like this. You're just bullshit. You go on the internet, you troll, say a bunch of bullshit, think you sound smart when you actually just sound pathetic. You probably made about 30 freaking flat earthers listening on YouTube.
Probably made 30 flat earthers on YouTube? Maybe.
Yeah, dude. They hear you and think you're fucking nuts. And that you're such a fucking cultist that you have to behave this way because you can't accept the simple fact that you don't experience the earth as a globe. You just imagine it. But like,
but if you're gonna
you have to go through mental contortions to save your worldview.
Yeah, but if you're going to criticize other people for just going along with the herd, you should probably be better than, I'm going to adopt a belief because this other guy sounds like an idiot.
Well, this is the opposite end of the extreme, right?
The opposite end of the extreme? So if I don't sound like like the extreme idiot, I sound super smart, is that what you're saying? Because I doubt that's the case.
No, you have like a mutually assured destruction kind of take on everything. You don't want to take any position because you don't want to have any conviction about anything.
I do take a position, but I am relatively skeptical about most positions. I tentatively hold most of my beliefs.
Not the globe, clearly.
Why would you say that? I'm examining epistemic standards inside of this conversation. I'm not examining...
So you'll admit there's never been a measurement of the globe, then, in all of history?
That's an absurd thing to say.
Well, no measurements meet your criteria, so no methods.
Any measurements meet my criteria.
You just spent 30 minutes going through that with Indio.
So I take measurements in some capacity in this like very loose definition we've crafted where almost anything could be a measurement all the time. The fact that I can look at my computer and I see planes flying in particular patterns that only seem to make sense on a globe worldview.
That's just your ignorance. That's just your ignorance, though. That's your ignorance of how a...
Potentially.
That's
correct.
Yeah. That's your ignorance of how a projection of a coordinate system works.
That would be...
They make sense to you because you're dumb.
That would be like
they make sense to you because you're dumb, dude. So I want to know this, though. When you went to the registry of motor vehicles and they said, to get your driver's license, they're like, what's your height? Did you tell them you didn't believe in measurement? And get in a long argument with the person behind the counter, how that's just a subjective belief, and that they have to believe in the regularity of nature to even ask you that fucking question?
No, because I'm not a social retard. So when we're engaged in conversation...
So why are you doing it on here?
Engaged in conversation about skepticism...
Why are you being a social retard on here?
But if we're engaged in a conversation about getting...
Why are you being a social retard on here? You can answer the question about your height, but yet you can't answer the questions on here.
I do answer.
So you've got contradictions again.
Oh, I got my own meme. Thanks, guys. Measurements are subjective. Measurements are subjective.
Measurements are subjective. Okay.
Everything's subjective in a sense.
Fair enough. But you must have like a threshold that that's acceptable to you, right? If you hired a contractor to say add an extension to your house, and you wanted 20 feet extra in this direction, he took a measurement, came back, and he said, "Look, come over. That's 20 feet. You happy with that?"
Yeah, I'd have my system of measurement that's predicated on my system.
You wouldn't have to measure it into the quantum scale.
And I think most people share some similar beliefs that allow them to use that measurement as well. And we can call people who don't use that system fairly absurd.
So you're measuring 20 feet. How accurate are you measuring this? Down to the quantum scale, or
no? There's no reason
what? She's within. I believe it's within 3 foot. So that's
so. This is a great transition to the next point I really wanted to make in the conversation, but we never got there. So the veracity and the usefulness.
Yeah, you ever thought the reason that you haven't got there is because you've spent the last 3 hours going around in fucking circles?
Now you want to go to utility argument, dude. Yeah. Don't even try it. Really?
What's the problem with
Are you really that much of a dick shit?
If I need to roughly measure 20 feet, plus or minus like a couple inches,
you're paying for your back.
Hold on. How do you know what 20 feet is? You said nature might not be consistent. Maybe when that guy you hired measured 20 feet, maybe nature was changed at that point in time, and it was 20 feet.
Well, no, I hold that belief.
Pardon me?
Really?
Yeah, but he does.
We both do.
So he wants his money. Because he holds it.
He wants his money because he holds that nature's consistent, but then he...
No, that nature's not consistent. And that when he measured 20 feet, it was 20 feet. When you measured, it was 5 feet. But he was like, well, my subjective 20-foot measurement, that rules, and you can go kick rocks, pay me.
Well, we have a hopefully intersubjective understanding of the
Between 20... what? The figment of your imagination?
He don't
even exist now.
Another being and I.
Well, you're a super skeptic, so he might not exist.
That's
you
possible,
might have actually measured it yourself in your own mind, right?
In an
and then argued with yourself about whether it was 20 feet or 5 feet, right? And then didn't pay yourself, and then maybe the other guy, then you kicked your own ass.
In an academic investigation, sure, I'm skeptical about these things. In terms of how I play out my practical day-to-day life,
that was hilarious.
The skepticism is not
Indio, this is exactly the phenomenon you're talking about with this topic. Just fucking breaks them.
Yeah. Brick. This isn't an academic conversation. This is mental illness.
I mean, that's fair.
There's nothing academic about this.
I was maybe being a little hyperbolic giving it the term academic because we're on Discord. But
it's not academic. It's not intellectual. It's not smart. It's not genius. It's not deep. It's not profound. Just, dude, it's really just basic Billy nonsense, dude. For real. I might be a beta draw. I don't know what it is.
If I'm a civil engineering firm and someone builds a bridge that's 30 miles long and they bust out a fucking ruler,
what's that?
It's
30 miles, but we don't even know what that is.
We can agree that there's an extrusion through space that we can put into segmented gradations that we're kind of called.
Are you sure?
Maybe your tape measure's bending.
That then go into miles.
No, your tape measure's bending again, man. No, your tape measure's bending again. Can't know what 30 miles is.
Exactly. It could be like a portion of space-time contracted to 15 miles.
Sure.
I mean 30 miles when you measured it, but not when I came.
When you read 30 miles, did you collapse the wave function?
I hope so.
Is that linear, or did you actually wrap the tape around the curve?
Well, wrapped it around the curve of the ultimate measuring stick, my dick.
There it is. We got him. Come on, spiral harder for us. We knew it was coming.
The homoerotic shit always comes out of you guys.
Not homoerotic. There's nothing sexual about that. But anyways.
Yeah, so
MPX, when you leave here, you're gonna tell all your friends now that you spoke to flat earthers and you mopped the floor with them, and they're just a bunch of idiots.
No, I don't do that.
Thank God this is recorded.
He's not even going to be sure tomorrow if he was here.
I'm going to upload him on the podcast and like what not to be in life.
Thank you. I feel like I'm doing okay. I got a reasonable job, make reasonable money, and get to fuck around every once in a while.
Why does none of that has any value? I mean,
people
holy cow, dude, really?
Why does that not have value? Makes me happy.
Well, you're paying yourself in your jar, dude. You're just paying yourself.
Well,
you imagined all that.
Like, that's fine with me.
You set your own imaginary standard from which to succeed, and then you made up fictional characters imagined in your mind, and you just pay yourself to do things that are not actually happening.
Probably not, but maybe.
I'm going to borrow your worldview to express them.
Okay.
Crazy, dude. You know, like, incoherent your brain is.
Well, I backed into this worldview from having issues with a bunch of the others and finding them to be incoherent, but I can understand why.
Bunch of the others?
Did it involve ayahuasca?
Not really at play at the moment. We're like really just stuck on this whole measurement is contingent on belief thing. I don't know why we can't go past.
Measurements are not belief. Belief is acceptance without evidence. That's what that word means.
Acceptance without evidence.
Yeah, that's what belief means.
What is evidence to you?
Evidence or
evidence.
Define.
Oh my God.
Evidence are facts which tend to prove a proposition.
Well,
facts are events or occurrences which happen it's perceived with the senses. Do you want more definitions?
Doesn't prove a proposition. Analytic proof may be evidence in most conceptions, but
tend to prove a proposition. There was key word in it. Tend.
Look, your flat earthers don't know what you're talking
problem
about.
Here, Because I have a very different understanding of the nature of evidence.
Well, I go by the dictionary definition of what evidence is. That's what I go by. How we define these words.
Doo-doo, dog poo-poo. Evidence is, in my view, just a phenomenal state that gives reason to believe a proposition.
It's circular.
Ow.
Because you said belief. And belief is acceptance without evidence. So that's circular.
Well, I take a different stance on belief. It's just an attitude.
Look, belief, if it's acceptance without evidence, that means you don't have evidence from which to form a belief.
I would say
it's just acceptance without evidence. Yes, it's faith. Evidence. Exactly. It's faith, blind faith.
But we're looking at your notion of evidence at the moment. At your notion of belief.
Evidence. So our evidence is?
I defined evidence. What was my definition?
Something that tends to prove a proposition or something along those lines?
Facts, which tend to prove a proposition. And facts are occurrences or events perceived with the senses. That's what a fact is.
Occurrence or evidences perceived with the senses.
No.
So if I perceive an optical illusion, is the state that I'm perceiving fact?
How would you know it? Look, no. The fact that you perceive an optical illusion is a fact.
But that doesn't make sense to me. You can't have
the experience you had, that's a fact.
The experience of an optical illusion is just like if I have an hallucination, the fact having a hallucination is a fact. What I experienced was a fact. Now, it might not represent reality, but I experienced it. And whether that me having a hallucination is a fact.
Wait, so now the subjective is fact, or the subjective media?
No, what a fact is.
Within which
dude, you're trying to conflate things, dude. You're trying to conflate things. Fact is just something that's experienced with the sentence. Doesn't mean it's true or not true. It just means that was the experience.
Doesn't mean if it's true or not true.
See, people use words all the time, and you're stuck in the idea that
state of affairs, and your perception
is not synonymous with objective state of affairs. It's not a synonymous thing, dude. Okay, facts are not states of affairs. Facts, and you can look up the etymology of the word if you want to know. It's occurrences or events that are perceived with the senses. Okay, doesn't matter. It could be wrong perception. It's irrelevant, but it's still the perception of the mind.
It's a strange definition to me still.
Well, because almost everybody, uses the word fact wrong. So you think something like 9.8 meters per second squared is a fact. That's something false. No, someone observing that something fall 8 meters per second squared is the fact.
Hold on, I need to put on my thinking cap to figure out what your sentences mean now, because we're using words.
There's nothing really. It's very simple, dude. Okay.
Yeah, but the implications aren't.
Okay, if I say objects fall 9.8 meters per second squared, that would not be a fact. Okay. The fact would be, hey, I watched something fall at 9.8 meters per second squared. That would be a fact.
Okay.
There's a distinction there.
Let's say I'm God and have access to the true state of affairs. What do I call like an ontological truth? So if like this brick is
God is not bound by the laws of reason, dude. God is not a created being.
Well, I'm not worried about like the whole God argument.
You're thinking of an omniscient. You're thinking of an omniscient man.
Sure. I just like, how do I express ontological states? So if like something objectively has this property, is that not a fact?
Well, how would you know it has that property?
I'm not concerned with that at the moment, because that's like the epistemic.
It doesn't have any properties unless you observe it.
At play here.
It doesn't exist until someone perceives it.
Does it? It doesn't exist until someone perceives it?
Exactly. Not as a fact.
You're idealist?
Not as a fact.
Not as a fact. So it exists ontologically. There's just no fact of the matter.
The car is red is not a fact. I saw the car and it was red is a fact. Why are you having such a hard time making the distinction?
This is so foundationally different to how everyone else I've ever heard use the word fact.
Okay, because I used the word right. It's the same way they use it in the legal system.
The wrong way to use words, but we've already gone down that rabbit hole, I guess.
No, there is a right and wrong way because people just want to throw the word fact around willy-nilly and say X is a fact, Y is a fact, 9.8 meters per second squared is a fact.
Yeah, I think that's irresponsible. That's fine. But I think fact typically points to some premise that we can hold with strong certainty and have a myriad of evidence to support that.
How did you gain the evidence? A man observed it.
Well, no.
No? Then how do we come about to know it was evidence? Was it osmosis? Telekinesis? Like, what fucking black magic is this?
So I could say it's a fact that, like, say, some number we can't fully describe exists within the mathematical system we've constructed, but, like, we haven't observed that number in any way, shape, or form.
That wouldn't be a fact I would believe.
Right.
Acceptance without evidence. And evidence of facts which tend to prove a proposition, you don't have evidence.
Right, let's say
a number we just believe exists, but we don't know it exists because we don't have the empirical evidence.
Is the proof not like some notion of grant some notion of like
proof is downstream from all this? Proof is downstream from all this.
Why?
Because you need
proof. No. So if we're in the realm of math, or just raw logic, and I demonstrate an analytic proof, but no one experiences the phenomena itself in the conclusion. Like what?
You mean like proofs like the law of identity?
No, the law of identity is like a predicate, or not a predicate. It's a presupposition to any logical argument.
No, it isn't, dude.
It's an axiom of any logical argument, which is a form of presupposition.
You think changing your rhetoric is going to save you?
Wait. I haven't changed the rhetoric. I've just clarified.
Look.
You disagreed with me, but like I just wanted to make sure that we're truly on the same page here, because like we just used a word that probably made you worried for a moment, or not worried, but uncomfortable for a moment. I used a different word that was maybe more familiar and maybe more.
No, it's gibberish, right? You're just speaking gibberish, bro.
Wait, what's the gibberish? Oh, okay.
Gibberish. Okay.
So we're
on logical. Identity is very simple. It's not an axiom. It's an objective truth.
How is it? Axioms can be objective truths. Those are not mutually exclusive categories.
Well, yeah, I know, but it's not axiomatic where you just have to accept to be true. Like,
why?
It is true because it has to be true.
That's what axiom effectively means.
Look,
there's a better formal definition, but you've just restated it.
No, there's things that are self-evident that you can take as axioms which are not true. So axiomatically, we can say the Earth is flat because that's the way it looks. We can take that axiomatically,
right? No.
That's self-evident that the Earth looks flat.
The self-evidence is going to be something more fundamental.
It's not self-evident that the Earth looks flat.
So the self-evidence is going to be the base.
Does it look flat?
Why are you dodging the question?
Look flat. I didn't say is flat. I said looks flat.
Yeah, but that's going to be an assertion in a realm of like other.
So it's an assertion that it looks flat.
Yes.
Okay.
MPX, what's your self-evident experience of the Earth?
Why are we doing? Like, we're continuing the like conceptual problem forward, and I don't know why we're doing.
You must have one. So what is it?
Deflect again. That's all you do when you're trapped. You deflect.
There's no trap. I'm not deflecting. Well, I started at the beginning, and we're like, I'm telling you, you're going.
He basically had to grab you in a headlock. He basically had to grab you in a headlock, twist your fucking arm off, just to answer that last question. Whereas any honest person would have went, yes.
I don't even remember.
You've been like this for the last 2 hours. Yeah, every time you get boxed in, it's a sidestep, jump conversation, drag people round in circles, and then bitch about the fact the conversation's gone round in circles, just to make the person you're conversing with given the perception that they look like a complete cunt.
I have the perception.
Thank you for that.
There's a projection happening when you accuse me of this, but
that's what you've been doing.
It seems like what you do every time I start to get close to.
That is what you have been doing for the last 2 hours, going round and round in circles.
Look, I just asked you about perception. I didn't ask you about interpretation of your perception. Just their perception is that the Earth looks flat. You don't have to make any
flatness. No, flatness is going to be an interpretation. You're projecting concepts onto things. The raw experience itself is like.
So if you don't see curvature, your perception is flatness. So what do you see when you go outside?
What do
you perceive when you go outside?
I'm not going to call those.
Come on, big money.
And curvature axiomatic.
He's a fucking coward.
I perceive casually when I look outside something that seems relatively flat, which is
less than 10 words. MPX. Try again. Less than 10 words.
Relatively flat. Relative to what?
Relative to the other experience I have around me. Like, what do you mean? Like. Sometimes it feels not bumpy. Like
you're pathetic, man.
He made another theory Globers in the last 5 minutes.
I mean, you could say I'm dumb or pathetic or all you want. I'm having problems tracking what you're trying to get at.
No, you're confusing yourself.
We're deep in an epistemic conversation, and you
you're so afraid of a gotcha you won't speak straight, dude.
No, we're not. We're not even at the realm of epistemic.
You're trying to jump onto a different topic, and I don't understand why.
Say you have a baby.
Crazy.
Say you just have a baby, an infant that was just born. He perceives the world. He doesn't have any mental constructs as to what the world is, but he can perceive it in a certain way, right? We're just talking about raw perception. Perception of the world raw perception of the world, right? We have a unified experience that the Earth looks flat.
No, you're jumping a huge jump.
Where's the jump?
Axiomatic statements.
Looks flat.
What looks flat is not axiomatic.
Okay, so do tables look flat?
Of course they look flat.
Is that a property of a table? Is that a property of a table?
Not necessarily.
If someone says to you,
prototype that I
have a table, are you going to take it axiomatically that the surface of that table is flat?
It's not axiomatic. That's prototypically.
It's self-evident.
No, you're misunderstanding the nature of axiom completely.
Then what do I need? Then what extra stuff do I need for it not to be self-evident?
You need to make sure that concept can't be decomposed any further in any way, shape, or form.
Okay, what extra stuff do I need?
What extra stuff do you need for the table to?
Okay, so self-evident means at first glance, prima facie, it is a certain way. Okay, if you need extra stuff, such as mental constructs or whatever, then it's not self-evident. So we perceive it a certain way. We perceive it as flat.
Flatness is a mental construct.
So, flat is a mental construct. It's not a property of things in nature.
So, extrusion through space may be axiomatic about
flat a property of things in nature.
What?
That's the second time in a row you just tried to play dumb. Okay, I'm not buying it, bro.
Repeat the same question about flatness about being a property of nature the second time because I didn't hear it.
It is flat a property of things in nature.
depends on how you handle your mereology to build up to that notion of flatness. And any conception of flatness I can think of, I can't have that be the fundamental. I would say that there's you can do further decomposition on the notion of flatness.
Decompose flat for us.
There's an extrusion through space. That extrusion extends through a 2D plane.
What does that mean?
Space
an extrusion to space. What does that mean?
Space is going to be axiomatic. It's this raw stuff in front of me.
Raw stuff?
Yes. I don't know how to break that down further.
No.
What's
extrusion of space means?
No, there's
extrusion
an extrusion
in
through space. So I have this space that I'm within. There's something that it projects through that space.
Projects.
Yes.
Can I put some of this
you
in
know
a
what
bucket?
projection means?
You
know what projection means?
There's a lot of ways to define
an object is not a projection of an object.
What?
An object is not a projection of an object.
Well, there's a lot of different senses.
A projection is when you take something and put it somewhere else.
Well, that's one way to. There's also projection in terms of shadow, using a shadow box to use its projection.
Yeah, but it's not the actual thing, right? It's something else.
There's projection in terms of the vector along which it points, which is the sense I'm trying to use.
That's fantastic, but the object itself is not an extrusion or a projection. Okay. We see something. That site is a projection.
Concept.
The 3D world is projected onto projected onto a 2D surface.
Abstract concept of flatness. We're not looking at about an object.
I've asked you 3 times now to decompose that into something simpler.
Yeah, you won't let me finish the decomposition because you're getting hung up on other portions, which is fine. But now you're saying I'm doing something silly.
You're not decomposing anything.
Wait, where's the? How have I not decomposed?
What components are there of flatness?
Element of extrusion through space.
What is more fundamental than flatness?
Space.
What is that?
Vectors. Extrusion.
The vectors don't exist. They're abstractions. There's nothing self-evident about abstractions.
Point to flatness. Point to flatness for me. The concept. The what?
Point to the concept?
Yes.
It's a geometric property.
Where? It's not a real thing.
Of an object.
That's a property. It's not a real thing. It's an abstraction.
Never seen a frozen lake, apparently.
No, you're having conceptual problems, my friend.
Are you not aware of hockey?
Am I not aware of hockey? What?
Okay, yeah, hockey was invented on a frozen pond. The pond's flat.
Good job. We're talking about abstract concepts.
Okay. Well, so listen. We see an object. The object has a property. We can see that it has that property, and we can take that axiomatically that property exists. Okay. We don't need anything else. We perceive it to be that way.
No.
No, we don't. Nuh-uh is your response.
Being rigorous in our conceptual constructions? No, we cannot. If we want to use the word...
So fix it.
I tried.
So fix it for me.
You're rejecting the notion of extrusion.
So fix it for me. We need to be rigorous in our constructions. So fix it for me.
Can I use the concept of space and extrusion?
No. It doesn't make sense. It's incoherent.
Well, I haven't made it to the 2D plane yet, and variation into 2D plane using other mathematical abstractions.
Vectors are not a property of anything in nature. Vectors
I'm not sure what I'm allowed to use or not.
Look, vectors are not a property of anything in nature. Vectors are purely mathematical. Vectors are pure, dude. Vectors are purely mathematical. Vectors are purely mathematical objects. Purely.
And abstractions.
They don't exist in nature. They're not a property of anything in nature. Nothing in nature has them as a property at all.
Okay,
but things in nature do have the property of flatness.
Abstractions are just conceptual.
That's cool.
Used in logical.
That's great. Deflecting again to some other bullshit.
Axioms are used in formal argumentation, but I can't point to an axiom.
Dude, it ain't gonna work. It isn't gonna work, dude. It ain't gonna work, bro. That deflection's not going to work.
It's not a deflection. It's the core, of the conversation.
You know
We've done this like 6 or 7 times where I finally get you into like a point where you need to concede something.
Now you're going into meta
now
as usual. Which I did before earlier. I've been noticing men doing that. When you deflect and you get caught in your deflection, you go into meta.
How am I caught? We have there's an obvious contradiction where I'm
more meta.
You're allowed to use certain abstractions, and I am
now. Howard Cosell is going to summarize. It's not about whether it's an abstraction or not. The abstraction is irrelevant. Okay, it's just axiomatic how something looks. Okay, we're talking about how human beings perceive it.
You're using the word axiomatic, and
we're talking about perception of human beings, dude. It's not about whether it is flat or not flat. It's about how it's perceived.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I can potentially deconstruct this further. And you're rejecting the notion of abstractions.
That is perceived that way. You can deconstruct human perception so that that's actually a hallucination. Go for it.
But you already did that a while ago.
Well, deconstruct it. How perception of it being flat is actually not happening. That the perception itself is not occurring.
The perception itself is not occurring? Well, I'm not sure.
Yeah, the perception itself is not occurring.
I mean, cogito is pretty tough to work around.
Okay.